Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode 203. Larry here.
Anthony here.
Uh-oh. What's going on, Ant?
What happened?
Oh.
I don't know. Did you not hear me?
No, I hear you. No, I definitely hear you.
Oh, okay.
Sounded a little like, I had my cup of coffee. So.
Oh, I didn't have my cup of coffee because I don't drink coffee, so I just have to live without.
Weird enough, I don't drink coffee either. So, I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah, I have no idea. How much sugar have you had today so far?
just by the teaspoon, just out of the bag.
I assume you just pour it into your mouth.
Oh, what happened? I'm knocking things over here.
But,
there we go.
Yeah, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just here for another week. We got some good stuff to talk about, and let's again, as always, hit it off real quick. Follow us everywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, everywhere, for crying out loud. And of course, YouTube and the Instagram. I know I put up the Instagram late this week, but I'll fix that for next week. But it's up. And of course, subscribe everywhere that you listen or watch us. So we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, what he said.
So last week, we kind of, probably only the second time I think we've ever kind of like previewed an episode, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was just the second time. I think it happens every once in a while with us. So, but yeah, it's rare. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like we preview an episode usually when we wind up going off on another topic and we don't get to one that we have prepared for an episode. So like this week's episode was, the topic was prepared for last week, but we wound up caught up in so many other things. And hey, you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, we love talking about gaming. So, if we get stuck on a topic, we get stuck on a topic. It's kind of, it's kind of the cool thing that I like about our show is that, we're very organic and fluid, so we will just move, we'll move things to the next episode, or maybe things we'll tackle in this episode that we didn't plan on. It's kind of cool that way.
And a lot of people have said, and not to toot our own horn, but someone has to.
No, don't toot our horn. I hate it when you toot.
That's kind of what's fun about our podcast is that we are, we're talking. We're having a good time. It's just, it's two friends chatting, and people who listen feel like they're in on the chat. And that's what I love about it. Like, we're not as, so, I'm not saying we're not professional, but
no, we're not professional.
I like that. I like the free flow. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, so a lot of people, again, listen, and they just like that interaction that we do. And you're exactly right. We had this for last week, started talking, but we're going to talk about it this week. Before we get to the main topic at hand, though, we both got, just real quick to mention, because it's a 3-year story, we both finally got emails that we were waiting for a while.
Yes, we did. Polymega, the company that refuses to release its console after I had actually, witnessed it in person, a year and a half ago?
At least, probably.
Yeah, I think it was like it was either May of 2019 or May of 2018. That's how long it's been. I can't even remember which year.
I can tell you real quick while you're talking, because it is, I think, our most viewed video on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. All right. Yeah, so check it out on YouTube. But, I got to preview the Polymega, which Larry and I were both excited for. Yes. But we finally got emails telling us that the Polymega will be shipping soon. Now, again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's going to be shipping soon. Well, considering the fact that they've had our money for years, and this has been in development for years, I don't know what soon means to these people. However, they did ask us to check our addresses to make sure they were updated. Naturally, I had to update mine since I moved. So I'd like to think that soon means actually soon, like before the end of the year.
Hey, why is that still playing?
Did you find it?
It says a year ago. I don't have an exact date, but so it says a year ago.
It was May of 2019 then.
Here we go. No, June of 2019. June 18th is when we posted the video. So figure maybe within a couple weeks before that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still.
Yeah, so but still, the whole thing is that it's finally going to arrive. And again, even when I previewed it like over a year ago, I was really impressed with the user interface and the controller and just how everything worked on it.
Just flows.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've talked about it on the show before, Larry, is that like we both have a stack of games that we've kind of been waiting to play.
Can't wait
for the Polymega.
I'm like,
is that our excuse?
A little column A, a little column B. I'm like a doomsday prepper. I'm just buying all this stuff I can't use yet until the day that it finally comes to fruition.
Yep.
And that day is hopefully soon. I mean, according to Walmart, it's next month.
Yeah, and as you can see over my shoulder, I can play all of these games right now if I want to. and yet I'm waiting for the Polymega.
I said that too. I'm like, I have an NES, I have a Super NES, I got a Jet. I can play these games that I'm waiting on, but yeah, it's just I paid all that money. I want to use these systems, but they're on their way.
And for me, at least for the Polymega, I want the HDMI hookup, like my Sega CD, my PlayStation 1, even my PS2, even though that's not on there. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't have HDMI hookups for those yet. Granted, I'm sure I can go online and buy them. I'm like, but with the Polymega, it's like I'll be able to just do it seamlessly with HDMI. And on top of that, it allows you to download the games onto the system, so it'll just be on the hard drive and just pop it up and play, which is cool.
Absolutely. And, that's what's going to be cool about it. And I already hear people, again, screaming at their radios, screaming at their viewing device that they're watching on YouTube. But it's all emulation. It's all based on emulation. You know what? That's fine. Because, you know what, Ann? I'm going to go a little out of order because I feel like this kind of goes into it just real quick.
Sure.
Because of the recent announcement that Analog, wonderful company, Analog has put out tremendous clone systems, but they just announced their new Duo system, which by their description, which is a very accurate description, one of the most underrated game systems of all time, finally getting this new release. And it's their version of the Turbo Graphics, actually the Turbo Duo, because it's going to have the cards and the CDs.
Which is awesome because I don't have $2,000 to buy.
Honestly, right? What was that? 1,500, I think it was when we saw it.
I think it was like $1,500 when we saw it last.
The CD hookup. And this thing's only going to be $200.
Yep.
And of course, when Analog, they pride themselves on zero emulation, which, hey, look, that's cool. That's awesome. Those systems work. They are pricier. I've always said it. Hyperkin is like the Kmart version of Analog. Good, but less pricey. But you get what you pay for it, and that's not a knock at anybody. You get what you pay for. And that's coming out, I think, May of next year. The Analog, which is cool. I ordered the Analog Pocket, the Game Boy, their Game Boy version, and they've already announced a TurboGrafx Express hookup. Ooh. So you can play those games on the road. But, again, it's, you're always gonna have that fight, emulation versus no emulation, no lag, a little lag, some lag, is what it is. We're excited for the Polymega. Again, I think it's gonna be a literal game changer, because there's a ton of games I'm waiting to play. My only hope is that it plays homebrews. Which I think it will. I think it will.
That's a good question.
So, because I got a good handful.
No. I mean, if it accepts cartridges, it should be able to.
It should. It should. So,
because the Polymega, I think they say it on their.
They do
on their site. No. That it'll play off of the cartridge or the disc. You don't have to download it.
No, correct. But like with the Polymega, I know, like, I don't think you can use like an EverDrive on the Polymega.
Got it.
Because it'll probably blow it up.
Well, that's all right.
So, but as we get closer, we'll talk more about that. So finally, I pre-ordered mine. I saw it November of 2018. So I've patiently been waiting, and I'm happy. Mm-hmm. So all good things come to those who wait.
And I ordered mine March or April of 2019.
Which means you'll get yours before I get mine.
Yeah, I'll get mine first. I cannot wait to get mine first so I can, unveil it to you.
Maybe now you live next door to the factory. Who knows?
You never know. I don't have no
It's
idea.
like, excuse me, I think that's mine right there.
Yeah, can I pick that up? Do you have a spare?
So, all right, so we'll look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm sure there are then a list of games to play on the Polymega. We're going to talk about some weird ones today. We started talking about it last week when I was mentioning Pac-Man. That's how it kind of spun off.
Yes.
Talking about Pac-Man, and then you got Pac and Pal, Junior Pac-Man, Baby Pac-Man, all that.
Mm-hmm.
These weird offshoots, they are sequels, but like they go in a weird direction. And that's what we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, and I've kind of just called them franchise to oddballs because they're just they're games you don't expect to, fit in that franchise. Like to your point, Pac-Man. Pac-Man's had a bunch of weird games because, the first one, was so successful. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, it's very simplistic. It's just a maze and you run around the maze. So it's like, okay, how do we change this up and make it different? And we talked about a few of those. So these are like really well-known, franchises that have been around, and the list they came up with, I mean, it's going to be obviously Nintendo heavy because I'll be honest with you, it's like when you look at it, Nintendo's got a lot of well-known franchises that have, stood the test of time, and as a result of that, they've probably spun off the most weird games than anybody else.
They're always trying to change things up as well. That's kind of their MO.
Well, they try to change things up, and they also try to reach out to different audiences in a way because especially because they're more family friendly. So in other words, you'll see some weird things on the list that you wouldn't see in a Resident Evil franchise or something like that, But the first, so just to jump right in, one of the first ones that I think of that comes off the top of my head, and every time I think about this game, I laugh. Granted, I played it a lot, but I still laugh when I think about it. And I'm talking about in the Donkey Kong franchise.
Okay.
And Donkey Kong has had a ton of games. The Donkey Kong Country series is some of the best on the Super Nintendo.
Absolutely.
But the one I'm specifically talking about is Donkey Kong 3.
Oh,
and if you know Donkey,
yes,
yeah. So I mean, and if you ever played Donkey Kong 3, you'll understand this. If you haven't played it, here's a basic summary of it. So Mario and Luigi's cousin Stanley, who never gets mentioned for a specific reason
at all.
So Donkey Kong is in the middle of the screen, and he's on these two vines, and he's slowly descending down to the ground, where he's going to basically destroy you. And Stanley is equipped with an atomizer, and basically the goal of the game is you're basically shooting puffs of air out of the atomizer, essentially up Donkey Kong's butt, so that he rises up to the top of the screen where a beehive will drop on his head. Or something.
Yep.
I think it was a beehive. And that's how you get through every level. And of course, the levels change, and like the original Donkey Kong fashion, it's just one screen, one goal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's when you just think about the concept of the game and then the visual of that, it's clear why they never chose to go back to Stanley, because he's one weird dude.
Yeah, that is I can only imagine being, in R&D, all right, we got to come up with a new Donkey Kong game. We had Donkey Kong, DK Jr. What can we do for the third one? Let's shoot plumes of smoke, or not smoke, but what'd you call it?
It's an atomizer.
Yeah.
It could be, but it could have been I don't know. I mean, what's it, 8 poison?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was DDT or something like that. Let's just shoot it up, shoot it at Donkey Kong. Okay. Where on Donkey Kong? Let's see if we can get this past development. Hey, we did. It's a weird one. It's not one of my favorites in the franchise, but it goes to show that early on, Nintendo knew and developers knew that, sometimes for a sequel, you have to go in a drastic direction so you don't lose, people's interest.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand that, but at the same time, it's you went there.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
So be it. Yeah, it's definitely a weird one.
I know you got a list. I don't know if you just want to kind of go through the list, see what you have.
Yeah, I can go through it, and then you can obviously chime in when I bring up a franchise that okay. First one I jumped on was an obvious one that we've talked about a lot on this because there were 3 specific games that are reviled on it, and it's my favorite franchise, Legend of Zelda.
Okay,
and the obvious ones that I'm talking about are the 3 games that were released on this Philips CDI.
Wow, we even venture to mention those. I thought those would just be so far off. Like, you know what? We're not even going to put it on a list anywhere.
No, it needs to be on this list because they were just really odd games. So Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon, of course, are the 2 weird ones. Like, the animation on those didn't even qualify for like Saturday morning cartoon animation. Like, it was like, it looked like a sloppy, like, childlike drawing. It was really weird.
I mean, you can say it was like, the sign of the time, but I feel like the Philips CDI, could have done a little better. I think had better visual looking games.
Yeah.
But yeah, these 2 or 3 offshoots, very, very odd.
Yeah. And then of course the third one, which was a Zelda led game. Like Zelda was the protagonist in it, Zelda's Adventure. And that one was actually like they tried to do a top-down game like original Legend of Zelda, but it was still just kind of weird and not fun to play. And the best part about the Zelda's Adventure game is that it had live action cutscenes.
Wait a minute, I don't remember those.
Played
really?
Zelda in the cut. Oh yes, the woman who played Zelda in the cutscenes was the company's receptionist.
Come here, dear. We need you to do something a little extra. No, you're not getting paid more for it, but you look like a princess. Holy cow, that's pretty funny.
So I had to bring up those 3 briefly from Zelda because let's face it, they define what an oddball game would be.
Oh, totally.
And then there's one other Zelda game I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never played this. You might have. This sounds like something up your alley because it was on the Nintendo DS.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know this one.
A Zelda game?
Yeah, it's from the Zelda universe. It's called Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love.
Yeah. I never played it, but I am aware of it.
Basically...
Yeah, go ahead.
Tingle's weird. The goal in the game is Tingle has to form relationships with each of the 5 available women in the game, and to raise their affections, he has to enter the love push mode. Which raises their love meters. And the way he does that is giving them gifts. And each gift has a different effect on each girl. And the girls are all different. So and oddly Wizard of Oz related for some of them. Mm-hmm. So like one is a scarecrow, one is a tin woman, one is a lion.
I was going to say, this is, and also I was going to say, I believe it's Japanese exclusive, which would explain also the very on the nose Wizard of Oz reference. Yes. Like, it's just because there's like no copyrights over there or something.
No, just really strange. Just a really, really strange. And of course on the DS, so like the graphics are obviously very simplistic. For a DS, like just looking at it, it's like really, really weird. Anyway, so if you've never heard of this game, I recommend you kind of look it up online and see some of the gameplay of it because it's creepy as all hell. Not to mention the cover art, equally disturbing.
Oh, I don't think I've seen the cover. I got to look up the cover art on that one.
Yeah, you have to look up the cover art for it because it kind of creeped me out.
Well, Tingle's just a weird character. He was just floating around in it was Majora's Mask. I think he debuted in. He was always.
Was that Tingle's debut?
I think so. Of course, Lord.
What? Ocarina? He wasn't in Ocarina.
Was he in Ocarina?
Ocarina was such a serious game.
I don't know if he was in Ocarina.
I don't remember.
But he was, definitely in Majora's Mask. And, he just looks like, like a mid, someone going through a midlife crisis around Halloween and deciding to dress up as a kind of a Zelda clone. So that's Tingle for you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you are correct. Majora's Mask is his first appearance.
It's so weird.
Thank God.
So weird.
One of the many reasons why Majora's Mask is either loved or hated.
Yeah, honestly, right? He'll do it to you. There's a game I want to mention, and it's probably going to be on your list, but I'm just going to kind of jump ahead a little bit, if that's the case. Sometimes these games with sequels, they go off on such a different path. And Mega Man has a couple of them that I remember. And I'm not talking about like the Battle Chip networks or whatever they were on Game Boy Advance. But the two that really stick out to me is, first of all, Mega Man Legends.
Yes, that was on my list.
Okay, look, I'll give him credit where credit is due. Obviously, we're entering a new era at that time. The PlayStation, the N64. Mario was so successful in transitioning from 2D to 3D. Mm-hmm. Zelda was so well-loved going from 2D to 3D. Yep. Let's give Mega Man a shot. But they kind of turned, like, from what I remembered, it felt very RPG-like.
Yes.
Mega Man Legends, which totally turned me off to it. I had it for the N64, and I just didn't like that gameplay for Mega Man. But a lot of people, it spawned a sequel, The Adventures of Bontron and stuff like that. So, there is some love out there for it. Maybe I'll give it another shot. Maybe, like, a lot of these games that we're going to talk about, maybe because we're older, maybe we can appreciate them differently, and like to give them a shot. No, all right. Well, I'll try it. Maybe I'll try Mega Man Legends one more time. But the other Mega Man game that I always found funny was Mega Man Soccer.
That was the other one that I had on my list too.
Look, again, Mario is so famous for just having 100 different jobs and just doing everything from a boxing ref to a go-kart racer. But, like, to throw...
a doctor.
Oh, this is true. This is true, though I still haven't seen his credentials, so I'm not 100% sure how that is.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, actually.
He could be like Dr. Nick Riviera. Who knows, from The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Mega Man Soccer was such a complete, like, shot in the dark. Especially because I feel like that's more at the time when it came out. I feel like maybe that was more like for a European audience than an American audience. Because I would say soccer always popular. Don't get me wrong, but now we have like Major League Soccer. And actually, now that I think about it, it just popped in my head. I wonder if did Mega Man Soccer come out around the time that we hosted the World Cup? Back in the 90s.
It's entirely possible. Usually games are created revolving around.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so that makes a little more sense.
I can definitely buy that. It's the same reason we get a Olympic video games every 2 years.
True.
Or we did that for a while. I don't think.
No, it's still no. There was one that came out, just no Olympics. But yeah, now I'm wondering. Okay. But and I never played Mega Man Soccer, and it's always on demo at Game On. I just never get a chance to play it. I'm not a big soccer fan.
You should. I remember renting it when I was younger, and it was just weird. I also remember that Airman was particularly obnoxious because he would just kind of blow you back.
Was he a goalie?
He was I don't remember if he was a goalie or not, but I just remember like whenever he went after you, like the fan would just like be a pain in the butt.
Damn you, Airman.
But the Mega Man. So I had both of those on the list. I've never played Mega Man Legends. I remember trying Mega Man 64, which was a disaster.
Yeah, Mega Man
didn't work.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. Yes, you know what? Now that I see it, we did host the World Cup in '94. Because now I remember my cousin coming up from Florida because Giant Stadium had a couple of games. I remember he went. So that would explain that part. Okay. Like there was no actual tie-in to the World Cup of Mega Man Soccer, but now it makes sense. Okay. Wow. All these years. Never put two and two together.
Yeah. See?
Who won?
Can I move on?
Wow. Yes.
right. Because I didn't have any other Mega Man games. I didn't know if you had.
That's really about it. Yeah, because again, the other ones don't really like. Again, the Battle Chip networks or whatever. I wouldn't count those. It's just a different foray.
I can understand that. Although, but there are some weird ones, like the one I'm going to bring up right now with Sonic the Hedgehog, our beloved Hedgehog, that we love for Sega. And a lot of the games, I wouldn't necessarily call them odd. You know what I mean? Like most of them kind of stuck to either the side-scrolling platform or when he went 3D. Mm-hmm. Granted, some of the games were bad, but odd, different questions.
Yeah.
I would definitely say when it first came out, Sonic Spinball was kind of strange.
Oh, wow, yes. I love that game, too.
Yeah. Oh, no. I enjoyed it a lot, too, just the whole idea. And I think it came out after Sonic 2, because remember in Sonic 2, there was the casino board, and you kind of acted like a ball in a pinball machine, so then they just created a pinball-related game. So again, odd game, but kind of enjoyable. Like, I did enjoy that one.
And very enjoyable, though it suffered so bad from slowdown. That was the only problem.
There were so many times in that game where it's like all of a sudden you're like, why am I going so slow? This is terrible. The one that I want to bring up, which I don't think any of us would know necessarily, is and again, I guess this was Sega's way of trying to get into the educational side of things. But there was a game called Sonic's Schoolhouse on the PC.
Sonic Schoolhouse.
And basically it's what you think it would be. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog in a classroom setting.
Very straightforward.
Yeah, just very straightforward. And I just thought, like, when I looked at it, I said, this is kind of strange, because obviously it's like, the world's fastest hedgehog is now just standing in a room trying to teach you letters and numbers and stuff. So, so I thought that was a little oddball one. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, mascot's trying to teach kids, totally get it. I'm like, but the whole idea behind Sonic is like the pitch behind him is he's a character with attitude. He appeals to an older audience. That was the whole reason why Sega was so competitive with Nintendo. And then, let's stick him in the schoolhouse and teach you letters and numbers and stuff. It's like,
again, do you think that's like a reaction to like Mario is Missing or Mario's Time Machine, stuff like that? Because those are weird spin-offs as well.
Yes, I haven't gotten on my Mario list, but yes, it probably is.
We'll get there. Get there.
Yeah, but still, I just thought it was a weird one. But
no, that is odd.
Honestly, the weirdest one to me, I think, and it wasn't even all that weird for Sonic, was Spinball. Like, it was just a weird pitch where it's like, oh wait, you just want me to play pinball? Okay.
Agreed. I totally agree. I got one that comes to me, and it's a series that I never really got into too much, the Bomberman series.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was a game, I mean, everyone knows Bomberman. If you played a game, you know Bomberman. It's a top-down, I wouldn't call it a puzzler, but strategy. You place bombs and, try and blow people up without blowing yourself up. And then there was a game that came out, I want to say on the 360. Yes, 360. Bomberman Act Zero, which... Now, first of all, Bomberman is, I'm not going to say cute, but there's, he's like a little character and, kids like him and, there's really nothing bad about him. Like, it's Bomberman. It's a cute little Bomberman. Act Zero, however, decided to, to jack up the, I'm not going to say like overly abundant heads are flying off and blood spilling all over the place, but it was definitely more grittier, more, like visual in your face than a regular Bomberman. It almost reminds me, which I know the game was probably on the list later on. I'd probably be the number one. And I'm not even going to mention it here, but it's not a Mario game or a Sonic game or a Zelda game. But like, I feel like they tried to take a cute, cuddly game, quote unquote, and try and throw a little like adult spin on it. When I say adult, just meaning older.
Yes.
And even though it had
X-rated.
Even though it has the exact same gameplay as Bomberman, it just has this grittier feel to it. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of companies in the 2000s tried to do that with their games. Like going that grittier response. And I feel like all but one was, failed in that aspect. Because then Bomberman went right back to what we know and love from like the TurboGrafx days.
Exactly. And look, it's one of those things where it's like, the formula and it works. It's like whenever you deviate from that formula, you're taking a risk. And in some cases, it doesn't work out so well. This would be one of them. Like Bomberman to me is synonymous with what he does, and that's it.
He bombs. It ain't broke, don't fix it. So there you go.
Exactly. I'm going to throw I'll throw a random one out there.
Yeah.
And I always thought this was interesting. It was in the arcade. I want to say it was released on the Dreamcast at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
The House of the Dead series. One of the best. I'm sorry, one of the most fun arcade games of all time. And then when they ported it to Dreamcast, loved it.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it.
Yep.
Then they decided, let's
I know
make
you're
it
going
more
with
challenging and release typing of the dead.
Yes.
And the way you kill the zombies is not by shooting them. It's by typing the words that are on them. And when you type the words out, you kill them.
Did you own this game?
No, I did not, because I didn't have the keyboard attachment or anything. I think it came with it.
I'm pretty sure it came with it. Yeah, because I had it, and I got to tell you,
okay,
it came with the keyboard attachment. It was actually a lot more fun than you would think it is. Mm-hmm. It's not really. I mean, if I remember correctly, there's probably like a typing lesson in there somewhere, like to learn to type a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like me, I hunt and peck. I've typed my entire life is with basically these 6 fingers and just move it mostly these 2. Like, are you a traditionalist? Like, do you?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I write. So,
you got
yeah.
Both forefingers are on the F and the J that have the little bumps there, and then you just go with it.
And I actually have one of those keyboards that
ergonomic.
Yeah, I have an ergonomic keyboard, so it's split in the middle.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I am a total hunt and pecker, but I do it quick. But all right, so forget that though. The game itself is actually very fun, and I actually played it again, Game On, demoed it a few months ago. Had it on demo actually before everything shut down, and I forgot how fun it was, because you're right. Like in the beginning of the game, all you do is one letter, L, Z, but then it gets into words. Then I think it gets into sentences.
Yes. And
yeah, you're right. All you're doing is typing, but it's very addicting. And I got to say, that one was very, very fun.
Yeah, no. I think I agree with you. Like, this list isn't to point out bad things.
No.
Weird ones. And
you're right.
And I do think, like, once you got the hang of it, it was very enjoyable. It's like, wait, this is a little weird. But then all of a sudden, like when you have 4 zombies coming at you at the same time and you're rushing to get the words typed out, it's actually, it gets really like it gets tense.
I forgot what happens when you miss a letter. Yeah. Like if you mistype something. What I meant by it though was like you would think Typing of the Dead is their version of like Mario's Missing or the Sonic Playhouse, Schoolhouse, where it's like, all right, it's more educational. So it may not be as fun. Like it's good for someone who wants to learn. But no, just as a straight up like first person shooter or an arcade rail shooter, it's amazing. If you could find it with the keyboard, definitely pick it up. I don't think it's that expensive. Definitely pick it up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, it's definitely worth owning. In fact, I should probably add that to my collection at some point.
This week, did you just forego keeping the cat outside the office and just let him in at this point? Because I see him walking around in the back.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, when I did that last week, all they were doing was you heard him meowing.
I sure did.
The other side of the door. It sounded like he was in the room. So now it's just like the door's open a crack so he can walk in at will and, do whatever the hell he wants, right? Yeah, okay, good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so moving on. One of the other series that I always enjoyed playing, specifically on the Nintendo 64, was Star Fox, right?
Yes.
Star Fox on Super Nintendo was good. Star Fox 64,
amazing.
One of the best.
Amazing.
One of the best. Absolutely love in terms of that style of game.
Fun fact, for me, I didn't own Star Fox on Super Nintendo. My first one was Star Fox 64. What I did own, and I ordered this, do you remember the Nintendo catalog?
Yes.
right? It was very limited, but there was some weird, interesting stuff in it. And I ordered from the catalog the Star Fox Campus Challenge. Kind of like the Nintendo World Tour, Nintendo Championship. What the hell was it called? Holy cow.
Nintendo World Championship.
Yes, thank you. It was kind of like that. It was not the full Star Fox game. It was a competition game. So I remember I bought it, and it was very weird because it only gave you it was an odd 6 minutes and 42 seconds. It was something very weird, like a weird time. And that was my first really foray into Star Fox. Long gone, obviously. And I hear that is some mucho dinero. So I'm very upset that it's gone. But that was my first foray, was actually the Star Fox Campus Competition. And it was a fun one. But then Star Fox 64 kicked in, and then my world changed. Until this game. Until this game. And we're talking about the one that was released on GameCube called Star Fox Adventures. Now, the whole, and again, not only was this an odd game, I don't think it was that good either. It was not. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, the whole appeal of Star Fox is you're in your I don't remember what they call them.
X-Wing? X-Wing. What's the matter with them?
But basically, you were in your ships, right? Yeah. And that was the whole idea. It's like you're flying around in space, shooting things and everything like that.
Do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll. Yes, peppy. And then slippy. But then what they did was, they decided we're going to make a game where we ground Star Fox and have him, go through a standard 3D adventure on the ground. And it's like, it just didn't work. It was weird. It was very weird. They tried to combine some elements, but it never felt right for Star Fox.
R-Wing. They were in R-Wings. A-R-W-I-N-G. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the game obvious. Well, not obvious. Well, I guess it could seem obvious. Did not start out as a Star Fox game.
No, it did not.
Yeah, totally different type of game. And then I think Miyamoto stepped in and kind of all right, let's do this. Because it's very he's in Dinosaur Land or some dinosaur planet or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It was reskinning a game. Yeah, usually reskinning a game with a with different characters for your franchise doesn't necessarily always come off right.
Miyamoto did it once perfectly already, so you figure why not do it again? But this one didn't work.
15 years difference.
Just about. But
which then brings us to
But real quick with Star Fox Adventure though, I do remember buying it, and I remember when I played it, I'm like, why am I out of the R? Why am I not flying around? And again, you're right, it's that drastic difference, kind of like almost Sonic 06, where it was so different from the regular Sonic stuff. It turns into a werewolf and there's humans in it and stuff. It was just very weird, and I remember not enjoying it from the get-go. And I hate to say it, but Star Fox Adventure did kind of ruin then. This is a game, and I hate to speak ill will about games, but this one really turned me off to the series. Until the classic, when they released Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo Classic. So, unfortunately.
I think it turned a lot of people off to it. In fact, I honestly, unless there are DS games and stuff I don't know about, I don't remember a Star Fox game after that.
There was a DS. Yeah, there was a DS. There was a Star Fox Commander, which was good. And then, of course, they re-released Star Fox 64 on 3DS. But just still, it was a bad taste. It left a really bad taste in my mouth, at least. So,
yes, like so many things. Moving on.
Yes. What do we got next?
Obviously, want to jump into. I thought this would be a good segue.
Yeah.
It's not the last franchise I have on the list, but since we're talking about games that get reskinned, the Mario franchise, right? And so obviously the most. Yeah, there's so many weird games in this one, and I pulled out a handful.
Okay.
In terms of reskinning a game, obviously Super Mario Brothers 2.
Most notable.
Yeah, most notable. I mean, it was so obvious. It was literally they took a game, Doki Doki Panic from Japan, which is a different game, because the Japanese thought us Americans weren't going to be able. Super Mario Brothers 2 is too hard for them, so we're going to take Doki Doki Panic and reskin them with the Mario characters. Okay, but just the whole idea behind it was just really, really weird. Gone are the Goombas. Got all the stuff is gone and replaced by Shy Guys and Birdos and all these things, and you're pulling vegetables out of the ground,
turnips,
throwing turnips, and just doing all these very, very odd things. The pipes were I don't know what they were. They were like vases.
Yeah, they were vases. Yeah, and to this day, I'm still shocked that we have never seen Wart again.
No, we haven't seen Wart. Yeah. He was only, as far as I can. Yeah, but you know what? But again, it was one of those ones where it just kind of existed in its own little world.
True.
And granted, we did get some cool characters out. Like, I love Shy Guys. Shy Guys awesome.
Oh yeah, the Shy Guys are great. You're right. We did get some, but yeah, you don't really see too much. I just thought like in one of the Kart series, you would get Wart or somebody. But no. But still, you're right though. That worked with the reskinning.
Exactly. But there were always like a character or two, and maybe again, topic for another show, characters that have kind of been forgotten. We're looking at you, Stanley.
Maybe Stanley and Water just kind of chilling out somewhere, just hanging out.
They're probably hanging out with Gino.
Maybe Gino.
Super Mario RPG.
Oh my God, yes.
In my assessment, the best character to never be used again.
Yes,
makes me angry. Anyway.
They're all drinking mimosas on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, so Super Mario Brothers 2 definitely on the list. And again, we can go through a million of them. One of the most well-known ones that I had my hands on and experience with was, of course, Mario Paint.
Yes, and was still waiting to see, even though we'd probably have to watch it muted, and then we play the song in your own home. But one of the greatest things, one of the first things even was introduced to me when I started hanging out with Anthony was his actually amazingly done music video to Bohemian Rhapsody done in Mario Paint.
Yes, with my very terrible drawing skills, because I can't draw for the life of me.
Look, to be fair, you're using a mouse on a Super Nintendo. So,
that's very true, and everything was kind of, it was really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I have it, I have the VHS tape, I just got transferred over. But yeah, Mario Paint was literally like, you actually got a mouse pad with a mouse that you hooked up to your Super Nintendo, and it was just basically drawing. You can put music together based off of the sounds from video games. I forgot the other things that you can do in there.
There were that was
basically the whole idea.
There were a couple of mini games in there, actually.
And there were a couple of mini games in there that you could play. But that was the whole idea. It was just basically drawing. It's basically like the Paint app on your computer. That comes with every computer. Yes. That's exactly what it was.
It really was. It's again, Nintendo going a different direction. Mario Paint was the very first game I ever bought with my own money at Consumer Electronics. You remember that in Brooklyn?
Oh my God. Yeah. You know what? I'm sure I have a receipt from them somewhere.
Oh, please find one. Please find one. For those who don't know,
are you talking about Consumer Electronics or Electronics Boutique?
No, not EB. Consumer Electronics. It was over. All right, we're going to get local, folks. It was on Flatbush. And like across from the Kings Plaza Mall.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of EB.
No, okay, no, I'm not talking EB. This was
no. I don't think I ever bought anything from Consumer.
But do you remember the store though? Yeah. I don't know if it was outside in New York. I'm sure they were, but I just got to say this: it was so weird, and we used to shop there often. Actually, I remember my mom would take me there. But you would go into the store, and then you would grab their catalog in their store. Yep. Write down the catalog, like the numbers of what you want to buy, and then this just may be my imagination from being so young. It felt like almost like a carousel, like the carousels at a airport, with your luggage, and then all of a sudden, just eventually what you want to buy, like they had the warehouses in the back, and then eventually would come through. And I just remember that's where I bought Mario Paint. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and Mario Paint had some cool stuff. Some mini games that eventually showed up in other games, like the Fly with the Fly Swatter.
Yes,
that was a big one. And finally,
I remember that.
Just real quick, and I have no basis on if this is true or not, but I feel like there was a song, like a very mini song, in the return of Mystery Science Theater 3000. When it came back to Netflix, with Jonah Ray playing the test subject. And one of the songs, I feel like when they go in and out of commercial, even though it was Netflix, I feel like was done on Mario Paint. If I can find it, I'll get the name. I forgot what the name of it, but it was like a version of the theme song. But when you hear it, it's like I hear the dog. Remember the dog sound? And then there was like the baby sound. Mm-hmm. I feel like I hear this in the tune. Again, I can't confirm that they used Mario Paint, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did, because Jonah, the host, comedian Jonah Ray, I think is into like gaming and stuff, so he's aware of it, and I wouldn't put it past them to try and do something like that.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
While we were talking about that, it made me want to open up some of my video games to see what receipts I have.
that we should do another time. Just gather up a bunch of them that you know, and then we'll just go through and see what
we'll
it
just
is.
Go through from the episode and be like, here are the ones that still have receipts. It's not many though, because I don't have the original boxes for most of my games.
Yeah, that's true.
At least for the old stuff. Okay, so sticking with Mario, and again, like I said, we can keep rolling through it. Really quickly, Philips CDI again, Hotel Mario, which is a very odd game,
which I own.
Yep. That you own. Yep. I was there when you bought it.
Yes, Game Dude, right?
Yeah, Game Dude.
Yep.
Oh, I love Game Dude. Oh well. And then of course you brought up two other ones.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I thought Game Dude. Like you had to give like your driver's license over to buy a game from them. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, but but hey, whatever.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. You talked earlier about Mario is Missing, which was basically the title is there. There's no Mario in the game. Luigi's job is to find Mario, and you're basically walking through a town and entering different doors. And yeah, it was a very, very strange game.
Very Carmen Sandiego like in the way of you just had to match like an item in history with the time in history or something or place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was Mario in Time,
which would be
Mario's Time Machine,
which would be finding a moment in time and bringing it back to this time. So that's really more like where in time is Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, yeah. And then to make the connection to Typing of the Dead was obviously not the first typing game. There was Mario Teaches Typing, if you remember.
Oh, that I do not remember. Okay,
yeah, that was I want to say that was actually a PC game.
Back then, I would imagine, yeah.
Let me see if I...
Yeah, because back then, when I say back then, meaning early 90s, I don't think there was a keyboard attachment for the Super Nintendo or CDI.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, wait a minute. This was this was only released on the PC, and basically it looked like a Mario level, right? So you're going through the Mario level, but not 8-bit. It looks like they tried to do a little 16-bit with it.
Okay.
And then as you came up on enemies, the enemies had letters on them, and you had to type the letter. And on the bottom of the screen, there are Mario's hands, like the white gloved hands.
Yeah.
And it basically would tell you which finger you should use to type the letter.
Oh, wow. So it's Typing of the Dead with an actual educational tool to it.
Yeah, in other words, it's trying to teach you which fingers you should use for what letters.
Yeah.
And then the blocks that you normally jump on, and or like you get the mushroom on
the question blocks
off of it or whatever. Yeah, those had letters on them too. So if you wanted to access them, you had to type. The
that's
letter
weird.
Well. So
I would be terrible at that game.
You would be. I would be great. So Mario Teaches Typing is definitely one I threw on my list. Those are the ones I kind of wanted to touch on. I know there are other ones. I don't know if there's a Mario game pop. And
not
jump out.
Not really, because I feel like a lot of like Mario's done so many different things that it's really hard to be like what's weird on an offshoot besides like the CDI games.
Yeah.
But I have a weird offshoot periphery attachment that I'm going to go grab right now that I purchased recently. So you maybe finish up. If you got like one more game or something like that, I'm just going to be right back.
I do have another game from another franchise, but I'll hold off on those. Go run and grab what you're going to get. Obviously, Larry wasn't fully prepared for this episode, or he just decided, it just came to mind like it tends to do as my cat jumps in my lap. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of other games that would be odd in the Mario series. And like we talked about, I mean, even like when you think about when Super Mario Kart first came out, that was a weird, that was considered a weird game because it's like, wait a minute, what does Mario and kart racing have to do with anything? And it wound up launching this really great series, the whole Mario Kart series. So that's kind of, that's another way that, what seemed like an odd game in the franchise. I'm talking about Super Mario Kart, Larry.
Oh, okay.
Became such an iconic game, and now we need one every single console release.
It's true. Yeah, I remember when Kart came out, I'm like, ugh, Mario Kart, what is it? I don't want to play this.
Well, how about Mario Party? When Mario Party came out, it's like, wait.
Exactly.
It's a board game with mini games. How is this fun? And then you play it, and it's like, okay, this is one of the best games ever.
Oh, totally. So what I have here, and actually now that I have this, which I don't know where the other thing is, so I'm obviously not going to go look for it, but I'll mention it. So games, we're talking about these oddball games. How about some oddball hookups, specifically for the Game Boy? I finally got my hands on a Game Boy camera.
Nice.
Which I never had before. I never owned this. Mm-hmm. And you can say this is the first camera where you can take a selfie. I would say this is the first selfie camera. But not only did I get the camera, I also now have the printer.
Nice.
And it's in really good condition.
That's awesome. You can, and it looks like you print receipts.
And this, I know. And there's still paper in it.
That's cool.
But just in case, I also have a bunch of refillable paper.
Nice.
Which now...
What's the price tag on it?
Well, yeah, that's way back when, $10. Which I now see, I never realized it was actually 3 different colors. I just thought the yellow was just old.
Have you tried printing a selfie?
Not yet. I have printed, like I've used one before, and it comes out like that big.
Of course.
But I can't find it. I'm so upset because it's so easy to lose. But really fun fact, when I picked this up, already in the printer was like a picture that was already printed from a long time ago because it was very faded. It almost felt like a horror movie, like the faded image of this little girl. I don't know where it is. I don't. No. I mean, it is so faded. Like you had to that was MacGyver it. Oh, it was weird.
I remember. You weren't with me, I don't think, when this happened, but I went to WonderCon one year in Anaheim. Okay. And I was standing in line with a friend of mine, and there was a guy walking around with the Game Boy and Game Boy printer, and he was charging people $5 if they wanted their image printed out on the Game Boy printer.
$5. I got mine for free, but it did.
People paid for it.
No, I would have. This thing takes like 6 AA batteries too. The printer. Wow. There's no 6 AA batteries, which was like normal back then. And there's no like external connection to it. It's weird.
It's cool though.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give this a shot. The other thing I was thinking of as far as a weird hookup, and Nintendo's had a lot of weird hookups. And I think we've talked about these in the past. The e-reader, the Nintendo e-reader.
Yes, I remember that.
Which hooked up to the Game Boy Advance, and it wasn't even barcodes. It was like dots, and you just scan these cards, which at the time was kind of cool because this is before like we would scan our credit card. Like like the only time you swipe a credit card is when you work there. So it was kind of, I don't know, something weird, like some very ASMR to be able to do it yourself. But that's where like kind of like the first virtual consoles came in, because I had Excite Bike, Super Mario Brothers, all on these cards. You'd swipe like 5 of them. So that was a weird hookup as well for the Game Boy. But this camera, I can't wait to, and it's in such good condition, all of it.
Yeah, see, and I wasn't really big on the extra peripherals and stuff like that. A friend of mine did give me, though, the PlayStation 2 iToy. Do you remember that? I
had it, yeah.
Yeah, I've never had it, but I have one now. So,
alrighty. Okay. I feel like maybe time's starting to run short. I think there may be one more game to talk about as far as a weird offshoot or an oddball.
Okay, I had one more franchise, but but we can go through them really quickly. And it was
go for it.
The Pokemon franchise.
Oh yeah, that I feel like it just lends itself to oddball entries.
Yeah, I mean, and just when you think about it, like Pokemon Puzzle League on the N64, which was fantastic game, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, let's take our Pokemon and stick them in a puzzle-based game.
Well, that's a reskin. It's Tetris 2.
Yeah, exactly.
But done awesome.
Yeah, but again, Pokemon Snap. Where
I never got into that.
Yeah, for some odd reason, I got into it, and I don't know why. Because I never played. Like,
I remember
Pokemon
that
games.
too. I remember you had that. I always found that weird.
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah,
are you getting the new one?
I did not get the new one.
Okay.
But basically, all you're doing is you're sitting in a little car on a track, and you're taking pictures of Pokemon as you find them throughout the board. Very odd game to enjoy. It really is.
Weird. So weird.
Then there was Hey You Pikachu on N64.
Yep.
Which basically was Pikachu on the screen, and it came with a microphone, and you were able to talk to Pikachu, and that's all that it did.
Yeah, kind of like Dreamcast's Seaman, just not with such on the nose title.
Exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to throw those couple out there as well, because I mean, Pokemon's had a ton, but those are the ones that I personally had experience with. Not Hey You Pikachu, I've seen it, but the other one. What was the game that you wanted to close with?
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Well, I mean, that wasn't really a franchise, though.
No, you don't. Well, you had a few games.
Yeah, you got a few games. I mean, but Conker's Bad Fur Day was the first one. So
no, it wasn't.
Wait, I thought it was.
No, the first game was a very cute and cuddly game on the N64.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Conker. I think it was just called Conkers or something. He just walked around it was like a Super Mario 64 type game, but they went in such a 180-degree spin on it when Bad Fur Day came out. Now he's drinking, he's cursing. That I always consider that to be like the biggest oddball that there is as far as in a game series. And then I think
I can agree with that.
They kind of continued with that series, but still to get there, I always considered.
I actually remember that was the last N64 game I bought before they basically stopped producing games for it.
There you go.
It really was. And I never played through more. Like I played through the first couple hours, for a couple hours, and that was it. And then I think I may have sold it back. I don't have it anymore.
All right. So if you know of any oddballs that you can think of, definitely hit us up, on all our social media pages, in the comments of the YouTube video, or, when you listen to the podcasts. What I want to show real quick before we wrap this up, because I got the frame for it, and I don't know if it was my mistake or the framer's mistake. The frame's a little smaller, but I got the picture in there. Last week I mentioned, and we showed a little picture of it, Andre the Bowser.
Oh, yes.
So now I actually have it in frame.
And that looks really nice.
Right? Look at that.
Weird.
Yeah, I know, it's still weird.
It's very weird.
I had to fold the bottom just a tad to get it in there. I mean, there was no drawing on the bottom part, but I guess it was like 10 and like a quarter inches.
But no, looks really. Yeah, I hate it when you get odd sized.
There was another poster I got. It was like 11 and a quarter by 17 and an eighth or something like that. It was.
I have one that's like 13 by 25. I don't even understand how you get to that.
And again, this piece, Andre the Bowser, Justin LaRocca Hansen, will put up his link to his Etsy page. Very nice guy. So definitely want to give a shout out to that. Awesome artwork there. And other than that, the last thing I want to wrap up with is an update. Last week we talked about I finally got some HDMI splitters.
Yes,
or switches, I should say. And these HDMI switches had a locking mechanism where you can lock the input so no other device would come in and turn it on. I have promptly returned them to Amazon because here's the thing. And someone please message me about this. I have a feeling that the PS4, the Xbox One, and systems moving forward just don't use them. I turn them on and the input is not working. Like the Xbox and the PlayStation won't pass through the HDMI switch.
That's just unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it stinks. But instead of throwing them out, I returned them. So went back. What I ended up then buying, actually I gotta return these up because they're too short. I ended up buying they're each foot and a half long, I think. HDMI extenders. All it is an extender. So what I did was I just plugged them into the HDMI port. So instead of constantly plugging in and out of the port on the television, now and I can reach it better, I just plug and unplug from the extender. And those work fine. Again, I can get to them easier instead of reaching around to the back of the TV. All right, fine. That means I got to get my fat butt up and walk over to the TV. You know what? If that's my exercise for the day, I'll take it. So, so it switches.
You got to get a better definition of exercise.
So, well, for now, for me, that's good to go. But what it also prompted me to do is now I have my Wii and my Wii U hooked up again. And I started playing those this past week again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Playing those NES remix games, Volume 1 and 2 on the Wii U. I forgot how awesome they are, and B,
I love those games.
There's still games I'm unlocking. I just unlocked Golf. I didn't even know it was in one of them.
Yeah, I love that game. Absolutely love that game.
And on this, it's fantastic. And the second one has that Super Luigi Brothers, which is Super Mario Brothers, but you play as Luigi, the original Super Mario Brothers. You play as Luigi, but the whole game is mirrored, so you run to the left.
Yep.
Very weird.
Yeah.
And then of course
it's fun though.
Totally. And then there's a series actually, they also did it on the game, on the 3DS, the remix. So, but yeah, I was shocked. Like I unlocked a new game. I was like, oh, there's still games in here.
Awesome.
So I'm happy. So I got those hooked up, and eventually I'll get my PS3, and my 360 hooked up. So in the end, it actually worked out better that I got these extenders, but my continued searching for a HDMI switch for newer systems, I think I'm just gonna stop looking for them.
I think that's fair.
So, and with that, I'm pretty much set and good to go.
As am I.
Awesome, good stuff. And where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast. You can find us on Instagram at RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter at RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there, or you can watch us on YouTube and Instagram now.
Yes. And with that, folks, and as always, have a wonderful week.
You have a great week as well. It's looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, me too. And we will catch you everywhere on the Retro Gamers Podcast.